Hello, my name is April Gray, and I'm going to be talking about labor unions and women's rights. Labor unions became very popular in the 19th century, towards the middle to late part of it at least. This was because workers on average were working about 10 to 14 hours per day, 6 days a week. There were very few to any holidays or vacations, and they were bringing home around $400 to $500 per year, which was much less than the average cost of living of that time. The work that they did was very, very dangerous, and they risked injury and death every single time they would step through the doors of their workplaces. Women and children were beginning to work in increasing numbers, and they, unfortunately, were paid much less than their male counterparts. Needing someone or something to stand up for them as a whole and protect their common interests, they turned towards unions and decided to join them. Some notable unions include the Knights of Labor, the National Labor Union, and the American Foundation of Labor, also known as the AFL. They're still very popular today. This worked out in the favor of men because they were actually able to get things done and legislation passed to protect them. But they, however, were very sexist towards women and often shunned and turned them away and discouraged them from joining. And in response to that, these women decided to go out and create their own unions. And some notable ones for them include the International Ladies Garment Workers Union, the ILGWU, and the Women's Trade Union League, which was the WTUL. With the rise of these unions came a rise of feminism, and organizations such as the WTUL pushed towards a pro-women's suffrage angle, and they worked very closely with the National American Women's Suffrage Association, and together they demanded safer working conditions, equal pay and equal rights. They worked towards having a minimum wage and establishing an 8-hour workday. Voting also became very important for both of these organizations, and through very tough efforts of both the organization and radical feminists such as Alice Paul and Anna Howard Shaw, in 1920, the 19th Amendment was finally passed, which granted women the right to vote. The WTUL did not stop there. They also worked very closely with women during World War I as well. They encouraged these women to go out and apply for jobs, positions that had been left vacant when their husbands decided to go and fight the war. Unfortunately, when they came back, their job positions were then given back to these men, and they were basically pushed out and left without a means of income. When the Depression came, it also negatively affected these same women as well because they were discouraged by society from working. And those who did work saw that they were shunned in the workplace because they were taking jobs away from able-bodied men. Married women were fired because society, workers, and everyone at that point in time felt that their husband should have been the sole means and the breadwinner in that home, and that they instead should have stayed home and been homemakers. Companies were laying off female workers left and right. Northern Pacific actually laid off their entire female staff. Regardless of this, the WTUL continued to work for fair working conditions for women. And Eleanor Roosevelt was actually a longtime member of the WTUL, and she pressured government officials along with her husband and Congress to enact legislation that helped women. And the persistence of both Eleanor Roosevelt and the WTUL paid off in the long run, because before the organization was disbanded in 1950, they saw the passage of the Fair Labor Standards Act, which was part of Franklin Roosevelt's, Eleanor Roosevelt's husband, New Deal. It established a minimum wage, a 40-hour work week, overtime pay, and 8-hour work days. And this was exactly what the WTUL and other women's labor unions had been fighting for from the very beginning. Today, we don't necessarily have the WTUL anymore. Like I said before, they were disbanded in 1950. Instead, we have other women's labor unions, such as the Coalition of Labor Union Women, known as the CLUW, and they were established in 1974. They do a lot of the same things that the WTUL did and when they were around, such as striving to get more women involved in unions. They strive to get the passage of more favorable legislation for female workers. They want to get more women involved in politics, and they want to get equal pay for women. They tackle issues outside of the workplace, such as racism, sexism, childcare, and sexual assault and harassment as well. Overall, the impact of women's labor unions is very significant to women's rights. We owe them a lot. The brave members, both then and now, worked tirelessly to bridge the gaps in both the workplace and in the law. And they're not done yet, and they probably won't be done until equality is established across all spectrums. And for that, we owe these women, both past and present, a lot, and we are very grateful to them. Thank you.